How can you build trust in others when you've been burned before? Let's take a look at this question on stepping out of stuck. I'm your host, Bonnie Brindle, the Anxiety Avenger.
I'm Ted Simmons, the superhero of Shyness.
And together we
help you
to get unstuck.
Let's get after it.
Okay. Trust is a big issue. Ted, what do you got?
Oh my gosh. It is a huge issue. It's one of the reasons that, shyness in itself is a lack of trust in not only yourself, but in others.
Uh-huh.
Right? You're not sure how you're going to show up. You're not sure how other people are going to receive you. You're not sure about any of that. So it's definitely a lack of trust.
Okay. So that immediately makes me think that trust is built in childhood, right? When people responsible for your safety and well-being are there when you need them, like that you can count on people. And if you're shy, you must have learned on some level to not count on people and not put yourself out there and not expect them to take care of you.
Well, in my case, definitely particularly. I mean, my mom was not necessarily the best at being trustworthy. She would constantly change her mind and tell me one thing one day and another thing another day, whatever fit her need at the time. I couldn't trust my feelings with her because then she would use those feelings against me later. And my first grade teacher was also the same. You go through and you raise your hand to ask questions, and instead of actually answering it, she's like, "This is not time for asking questions. This is, you're listening to me." And
wow. As a sensitive kid, that must have been really hard right away in school.
Well, yeah. No, it was just like, it was adversarial instead of, building kind of trust with anybody. And all of a sudden I couldn't trust anything that my teacher was giving me. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to do anything there. So it made it hard to learn anything.
Of course it did. What a terrible experience to start school. I can't imagine what a first grade teacher would be, being adversarial would be like. That's hard to even get my head around.
So imagine this. We're in the square of tables around the teacher and sitting there, and she's asking us to do a weather report. And in doing a weather report, we're supposed to have the morning newspaper so that then we can go and read the weather off of the morning newspaper, which my family didn't get. And then, not only that, make sense of what the weather report was actually saying. And my mom had not spent the time to actually get me to a reading level where I would actually be able to get to that point, or spend the time with me to deal with any of those things. So I was going to ask, is there resources to get that kind of information? Obviously you're a kid, you're not going to ask that kind of question, but it was, I remember I was just like confused because I had no access to any of this stuff. And instead of helping me, she just shut me down and didn't even want to answer my question, even when I tried to ask it multiple times. And that was in the first week of class.
Holy cow. And you remember it so well. It's incredible. And I'm not going to go down the education rabbit hole right now, which I easily could, being a former educator, but you helped me to see even more clearly than my own experience with kids what it's like to not know the cultural bias through which the teacher is looking at the assignment or communicating with, right? So your family didn't have this particular thing that she assumed you would have had. How many kids go through that every day in school, right? It's amazing to think about, but that's definitely for another episode, everybody. We'll talk about that some more. But so that lack of trust you started in your family when you were really young, because you said like your mom would vacillate between say one thing, do something else, say something else, right? Okay, so that started really young for you. It didn't start so young for me. It
Yeah.
didn't when I was no, it was. I mean, my dad was just kind of absent, and as a little kid, like you're talking 6 and 7 years old, I didn't know like what my older brothers were really up to. I didn't know that my dad was an alcoholic. I didn't know what my mother was doing outside of the home with married men. It was all really more exposed to me as an early teen, like 12 years old or so. So I didn't have quite that lack of trust as a little kid. But when you were struggling with that and then you had a difficult time in first grade, I imagine that also must have led to you struggling to have friends if you were like the odd kid out.
Totally. I mean, you just the the fact that she shut me down for any questions after that. Uh, I couldn't ask any questions if I raised my hand or if I got any kind of disruptive. She sent me out into the hall. And because she sent me out into the hall, I couldn't learn what we were learning. And then, which made it even harder to catch up. Uh, and then also, all of the kids in the class noticed that too, right?
Sure.
I was the
You're the kid in the
troublemaker.
hall. Oh, God.
I'm the kid in the hall. And so I'd go out to recess and I couldn't make friends with any of the kids in my class because they already knew that I was trouble and they didn't want to be associated with me. And they then they would actually actively pick on me, so that then I would get in trouble at recess because they were picking on me, and I'd be the one that got put in the hall for recess as well. It was
Okay.
just, it was
Wow.
so confusing. It was just like I didn't, I couldn't ask my mom what to do because my mom was not trustworthy. I couldn't ask her, she couldn't tell me what to do or any of those kind of things. She didn't believe me, which didn't help
Right.
either.
That
Um,
doesn't surprise me.
and it took half a year before she actually got frustrated with the teacher after seeing some of the math tests that I'd done. And the teacher basically just used a pattern with me of which ones were right and which ones were wrong, and basically just marked most of them wrong and then sent that back, even with the ones that were right. And my mom got frustrated with that. And that's what got me to change into another school. But yeah. Oh.
That's quite a start in the trust world right there. That's quite a start. Wow. Well, I'm glad your mom could at least see clearly that you needed to be moved to another situation. That's good. Good thing.
That was the best thing that could have happened.
Yeah, really it is. And so like as I said, I don't remember having these feelings so much when I was younger, but when I got to be around 12 and middle school age, when kids start to see their parents as the flawed individuals that they are instead of just parents, and you start to understand people's behavior a little more. Yeah, it really came through too that uh, I had to be really careful before I would share anything um, with anybody because I felt like if I shared anything, again, the mom thing, sorry to say, when I would share anything with my mom, she kept mental notes and it would come up later sometime when I was vulnerable and she would attack me with something that I had revealed about myself um, that wasn't positive. And yeah, I remember that really well. But again, it was in my teens and then into my early 20s before I
Oh
was
yeah.
spent a lot of less time around her. But It's interesting. So you struggled for friends and etc. I didn't. I had lots of friends when I was a kid, and I'm friendly now, and I'm not shy when I'm not in my introvert's need for interior time. When I, as an introvert, I need to back out sometimes and spend some time just with myself. But um, I can be friendly, and lots of people have commented to me that I put them at ease when they meet me, that I'm easy to be comfortable around, and that's all very real. But at the same time, because of my dad was an alcoholic, my mom was cheating all the time with married men. I had a brother who stole stereos and sold hash, and I mean, you name it, right? We had
Yeah.
all the liars, thieves, and and addicts around me. I learned not to trust other adults, and so um, I was very careful. So when I meet somebody new, I'm friendly and open, but that personal part of me is put away. I'm really, really careful about that. And it's made me a good judge of character, actually, having been around adults doing some of those things that I can see are possible. Because a lot of folks now say, oh, so and so would never do that, especially about their own family members. Oh, no, that couldn't have happened. It must have been someone else's fault. It must have been some other circumstance. I can really see the possibilities in people sometimes for things that show that they're not trustworthy.
Yeah.
It's a good spidey sense to have, but not to be paranoid, because I'm not. But it's good to have that spidey sense, looking past what people say to actually what they do.
Yeah, I totally agree with that because that's how I saw things as well. I guess, yeah, in building trust, I I always had to build it like one small piece at a time. There was always
Mm,
like one little thing, if I can trust them with this, then maybe I can trust them with another little thing, and then maybe another little thing,
yeah.
and um, that regularity builds commonality. I guess I would say
Mhm.
is,
Mhm.
the more you've seen them, the more you've interacted with them, the more you've added those little bits of trust into them, the more that builds up.
Yes, I see what you're saying. So it's kind of one small step into trust at a time with people. That seems like a really smart way to get to know someone, to to keep your most personal self for later when that person has shown themselves to be trustworthy and safe, but not put that out right away. Sort of engaging more on surface. Sometimes I see this in men a lot. Men seem to be really comfortable in engaging around an activity like a sport or a concert or,
Yes.
go
Yes.
do something. Yeah. You'd say that's
Hmm.
true? Um,
Yeah.
and it gives you time to look at that person and to see how that person interacts with others. I mean, when I see people who seem friendly and say hello to me, I've sat down in restaurants with business people and such, and then seen how they treat service people, like rudely, and I'm like, can't trust you. You treat that person like that, you're done. I'm out. Right. So looking for how they interact with other people around them is really important too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's this best behavior thing that everyone does when they first meet people, that always drove me nuts because it was, it was a fake version of them, and I could read it off of them. And, I could tell that they were hiding something, but I wasn't sure
Mm,
what it was. Um,
yeah.
yeah, and that always drove me a bit crazy. Um, but after watching them for a while, I realized that there's many different kinds of people. There's those that are awkward in their own skin, that exude kind of this you know I don't know what to do myself. Therefore, people don't trust me because of that, because they see that you don't trust yourself. And then
Mm,
there's this other piece of, where they're just trying to play up to you, and
uh-huh.
um, you know
That's
used
easy to
car
see.
salesman example,
Yeah, that one's easy to spot.
right?
Used
Yes.
car salesman.
Yes. And those are always like hard because, you don't get to see the real person. You get to see the veil that of
Yes,
awkwardness or of fakeness that they've put up. And that's always tough. And it takes extra long to get to know them.
it
Um,
does.
but yeah, when you get somebody who's just like joking in an elevator and, just kind of comfortable in their own skin, it's easier to trust them.
Right. All right. And you need to be careful um, with that because it's take time to get to know people because sometimes people can be good at acting in that way. And then, but it'll always be revealed in how they treat people or how they talk about other people if you listen to that. Um, and something we've talked about before is we date our family until we don't.
Yes.
It makes me laugh every time. So I'm
Yes.
like, I so did this, right? When I'm
Hmm.
talking about my crazy family and all their
Hmm.
behaviors. And as a young adult, I went right into dating men who fit my family profile perfectly.
Hmm.
And because it's what you know what to do sometimes. Like I knew how to be with someone like that. I didn't know how to be with someone who was really trustworthy and really cared about me and paid attention to my needs. And so that was an odd thing to get used to, but trusting yourself to really look at how you're being treated in a relationship. Going with your gut is what I'll say. We need to be sure that we go with our guts. If you feel something is off with a person, you're not really comfortable with how they interact with you, they talk to you in a way that makes you feel icky, all of that stuff is red flag warning signs that people aren't trustworthy. And when you come from a family where that's the regular, you really need to be especially careful looking for it in
Oh,
people
yeah.
outside of your family and avoiding it. And like I said, Lord knows I went through relationships with people like that and got dragged down to the dark depths and came back up and finally realized that that's really not what I wanted to be with anymore. And it took a while to figure that out,
Yeah.
but
Oh, yeah.
it, and so I had a hidden rule for this. Like I
Okay.
said, it didn't start when I was little, but I had a hidden rule for it that I
Yeah.
developed, which was always keep myself close in and don't trust what anybody says. Trust is in their behavior, not their speech. And real trust will come over time in a relationship. But I don't trust what people can talk to me all day long about who they are, but I want to see how they are before I trust and start taking those steps to open myself up to them. How about you?
Yeah, that's similar to mine. That's mine was watch carefully before revealing myself, because once people see the real me, they can use it
Mm,
against me.
okay.
And that, that whole being wary that somebody's going to cut you down because you do X or because you look like X, something or whatever. It's just very close to the vest, and a lot of what Shyness was, right? Um,
Yeah.
it was, just don't interact, don't do anything. Um, and as I said, getting over that rule, for me, a lot of it was if I project this untrust towards others, then they don't trust me,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I
Yep.
need to go
That's the other
through,
side.
yeah. And so I worked really hard at going through and projecting trust and going through and giving little bits of trust to people, um, so that then I could build more trust with them.
Mm-hmm.
And, taking that, using that energy of when you meet somebody, of going through and putting that little bit of trust in them, putting that little kind of shared secret out with them, um, change.
Letting them in a little bit to who you are.
Yeah, that really changed a lot of things. And, as a shy person, that is the hardest thing ever, right?
It is,
But
yeah.
in doing that, I've been, that's part of confidence in my book is basically going through and having that energy to share that little piece. And, it's easier as an adult, because we have like history and we've been able to prove things to ourselves. But as a kid, that took that was the hardest thing ever. And
Yeah,
I started doing that in high school. That's a rough time too. but
it
it,
is. It is.
but yeah, I definitely encourage that.
And so how about this? We consider a takeaway for our
Yeah.
listener that tell me if you agree that it's okay to engage with others while reserving your most personal self for those who have proven trustworthy over time. And specifically, that means allowing people into the values and the activities and the things that are important to you a little bit at a time and seeing how they react to that, to what is important to you. Do they shut you down? Do they encourage you? Are they interested? I think layering out who we are to people a little at a time can help us test that out and
Oh
make
yeah.
sure that it's safe to go on to the next step.
Agreed. I like that one.
When, hey, before we go today,
Uh-huh.
don't you have something amazing to announce?
Oh, so I just got my book up on Amazon.
Whoop, whoop. It's out. Whoop, whoop. It's out. What's the title,
Yeah.
Ted?
Shy is my superpower.
That's
Discover your hidden
fantastic.
strengths.
It's a great, great book. It's worth finding out about. Check it out. It's up on Amazon now already. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very
And
nice.
what about your book?
Well, I think I have an idea. I'll just tell you the title, but I have an idea. Let's help each other out to let people know about our writing each time we have an episode. So next time I'll show you mine, which is called Cracking the Crazy Maker's Code, based on all this family stuff we just talked about. But today is your day to shine with that beautiful cover in your brand new book, Shy is My Superpower by Ted Simmons. Look it up, folks. It's on Amazon. It is worth your time.
Nice.
We'll catch you
Well,
on the next episode.
please like and subscribe and offer comments. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, all.